I wrote this essay because I never felt seen. Maybe you feel seen. Maybe you don't. Hi, I'm Leia. This is the fool that never got to play. Watching from the sidelines, one person has never gotten a chance to play. No one can give them a reason why, and yet here the fool is. Occasionally taking the warm-up jacket off, occasionally running up and down a little, thinking this might be the time for the fool to finally play. Just for someone else, next to the fool, to be put in instead. And the fool is happy their friend gets a chance to play today. But time after time, it gets harder for the fool to celebrate. How could the fool be so stupid to believe this time it was going to be them? The fool puts the long tracksuit pants back on and sits back down, embarrassed for even trying. Who did the fool think the fool could be? And here the fool is back on the bench, watching. Again. Next to teammates recovering from injury or taking a breather after a long first half on the field. Next to coaches with a long successful history on the playing field. Next to people trying to focus on themselves for a little bit, because they've been on the field for so long they don't even know who they are outside of it. And for them it's a challenge to stay on the bench. A challenge. For the fool, this is the only place. In a stadium full of people who all play themselves, in different places, at different levels. Some are still too young and just started playing at school. Some of them play on their own courts. Some used to play professionally. Some play every once in a while with friends. Some are committed to fields. Some try different ones. Some get injured, some stay healthy. Some just bought a new pair of boots, and they're so happy to use them for the first time soon. Some never want to step foot on the grass ever again. Some are paying a lawyer, hoping to leave the pitch even. And here I am, the only fool who's never gotten to put a foot on that field. The only fool that isn't in on the joke. The only fool. They should put the spotlight on me. They should show me on the big screen. This fool worries too much. This fool wants it too hard. This fool will play when the fool least expects it. This fool's time just hasn't come, but it will. In every game and every season, the fool goes home alone, and slowly the fool goes from being on the bench, to being in the crowd, to watching from home, to only occasionally checking the scores on their phone. People say it's the fool's fault now for not putting themselves out there enough. Maybe the fool feels lost a lot. Being out there all the time is exhausting. But maybe the fool isn't lost. Maybe the fool has other things to do. Other sports to play, other activities to enjoy. And then people make fun of the fool for not focusing on getting on the pitch where everyone else is playing. And the fool should never lose hope. But also it's so cool that the fool isn't afraid to do things alone. So brave. The fool can be so proud. But what they don't see is that there isn't anyone who could have gone with the fool. First, some people tagged along. But then they got busy with preparing for the game. And the fool is super happy for all friends who get to play and welcomes them back when they leave the field. But with time, they get busier and busier, and slowly they take more responsibility on the field. And that's so beautiful, but they slowly, little by little, forget about the fool, who's still there watching every game, rooting for them. And faster than they can realize, the priorities have shifted, and the fool isn't on top of anyone's list. And the more time passes, the more the fool has to spend alone. Tomorrow could be the day you finally get to play. Fool, you can never lose hope. Is easier said than lived. And the fool is an amazing person. Kind and compassionate and funny and creative and ambitious. The fool is the fool's own dream player, working so hard to become the best they could be. Yet that changes nothing. There's no guarantee for who gets to be on the field. And this hurts. Imagine the fool lived his entire life preparing and warming up and training and picking out outfits and stretching and getting enough protein and doing lame press conferences, and the fool never got to play. What could the fool have done with this time instead? Maybe the fool has to be fine with never playing. And people who play all the time will say it's really not that great to play, and you can slip and fall and get injured, or you could get fouled and injured, or you could foul and catch a red card. But the fool wouldn't mind. No one wants to get injured, but the risk of slipping and falling is part of the game. And not everyone gets injured, so it would be rough to assume that the fool is lucky for not even getting to play. Besides, the fool did get injured on multiple occasions anyway. The fool once pulled a muscle and tore a ligament warming up. Once the fool even got hit by a ball and left with a concussion. Being on the field means you can get hurt, but being off the field doesn't guarantee never getting hurt. Muscles that aren't used die. Muscles that aren't used shrink and lose power. Atrophy. At least the fool took biology classes. The fool is sad because those moments the others take for granted the fool would kill to experience. A high five, a handshake, a pass, a group hug with the team. We're not even talking about a big goal. It's so casual, but the fool has never gotten to be part of it. Just thinking about the game gives the fool anxiety. And what if that day comes and the fool is called up to be on the grass and the fool slips? Or the fool freezes? Will everyone once again look at the fool and think, yeah, no wonder they've never let the fool do this before. But also at this age, it's a little weird. Maybe there's something wrong with the fool. Maybe there's a reason they've never been put on the grass before. And the fool will feel horribly embarrassed and agree. No wonder they don't put me on the field. So many people check back in with the team to see the fool play. It clearly should have happened by now, they say. And then they forget about it until the next time over dinner conversations someone mentions the fool. They get a little excited. It probably has happened. Just to be disappointed that the fool still hasn't left the bench. And dinner conversation after dinner conversation, they become a little less excited about the fool until some evening they forget to check, and the following one as well, and suddenly they haven't checked in on the fool's career for a full season, and the fool becomes a distant memory. And for so long the fool blamed themselves. No wonder. You're not as talented or fast, and the jersey looks a little weird and ill-fitting on you most days, and you get blisters so easily, and your left knee is a little weak. There are times when it makes sense to the fool that they've never been put on the field, and it hurts. The fool doesn't want to become bitter and pessimistic. The fool has always been promised to play one day, but every game the fool doesn't get to step on the pitch is another piece of evidence that the fool will never get to play. Maybe no one wants the fool on the pitch. Maybe the fool is a fool for wanting to be on the pitch. And the fool's chest hurts thinking about the game. The fool loves the game, and in the city where the fool lives, a lot of things are easier when you're actively playing. It seems that there's only one career path. There are actually a lot of benefits that come with kicking the damn ball up and down the damn field. Can you imagine they get to pay less taxes for kicking the damn ball? If you're not actively playing, what truly is your value? Maybe it's the economy that doesn't allow the fool to play after all. But it doesn't matter how hard the fool works, the fool has no control. Maybe the fool doesn't want to play. Maybe the fool really wants to play. Maybe the fool will never get to play. Maybe the fool just needs a hug. And for everyone on the team, it's hard to empathize with the fool. They all just go in and out of the game. They don't know what it feels like to never have had the option. Yeah. So, more of my essays on my Substack. More of me on my Instagram. Or right here. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.